Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for making you wait. We were having some technical difficulties. Welcome to Let's Talk Elder Caregiving and its impact on your workforce. The first thing I want to talk about is advanced directives. And when we talk about elder caregiving and the impact on your workforce, it's really about your employees caring for an aging loved one, perhaps having to handle their banking, perhaps having to go to their doctor's appointments with them or speak to their doctors or make appointments. And it can be a really, really difficult thing and take a lot of time when the person they're caring for doesn't have the proper documents in place. So if you have employees who are caring for their aging loved ones, whether it's their parents or grandparents, aunt and uncles, whoever they might be caring for, you want to make sure that they have a power of attorney for that individual, a healthcare proxy, and a living will. The power of attorney is a legal document where you appoint a family member or a friend to act on your behalf regarding financial affairs. So in the example I discussed, it would be your employee who is the power of attorney for their aging loved one. As power of attorney, it's a document. If it's executed properly and the proper document is used, it will make life much easier for your employee, the caregiver, to write checks, pay bills, move money around, do whatever they need to do for their aging loved one. And it will avoid long lines waiting at the bank, meeting with bankers or tellers, taking extra long lunch hours because they have to do it. Once a power of attorney is properly executed and on file with the financial institution, it will make the caregiver's life much easier and allow them to just continue with their regular daily activities, including work. The healthcare proxy is a legal document where you appoint someone to make healthcare decisions for you. So again, in our example, the healthcare proxy would be your employee for their aging loved one. So this speaks to doctors appointments, going to appointments, calling for information, speaking to any sort of medical professional. A lot of times this is done between the hours of 9 and 5. So people are making these calls from work, during lunch, whatever the case may be. Again, having to go through all the red tape to get information if you are not a healthcare proxy can be extremely difficult, take a lot of time, spend a lot of time on hold. So having that document in place will make it much easier and faster for the caregiver to get the information that they need. The living will is a document where someone indicates their wishes regarding end-of-life decisions. Now, this really just speaks to more of the emotional piece of caring for an aging loved one. If a healthcare agent is charged with the decision of making, end-of-life choices, the emotional stress is so great. It can certainly affect somebody's life and all the other aspects of their life, including work. So having a living will in place as a caregiver, having a living will signed by the person you're caring for, does take the burden off the individual to some degree as far as making those decisions. So it's extremely important for any of your employees who are caring for aging loved ones to make sure that their aging loved one have these documents in place and that they're proper and that they're appropriate. In addition to that, it is important for anybody over the age of 18 to have these documents in place. So when we come into your company to speak to your employees about these documents and about making sure their aging loved ones have these documents in place so they can help them, we're also educating your employees about why they should have these documents in place themselves in case something happened to them. If a person does not have a power of attorney, healthcare proxy, living will, and they become incapacitated, whether it's an illness, an accident, or some sort of injury, then the caretaker in many cases, it's going to be the person that we're referring to that's your employee, they'll have to bring a guardianship proceeding in order to have that individual deemed incapacitated so that they can make decisions for them and handle everything on their behalf. Guardianships are very expensive and they're very time consuming, even if they're completely straightforward and not contested. However, many times they are contested because there are family members who do not get along, and this can cause a lot of family problems, which of course will spill into other areas of a person's life, including their work. And it's, again, a lot of time, day in court or 2 days in court, meeting with the attorney and reviewing documentation and speaking to the court evaluator, who's the third party eyes and ears of the court. This can take a lot of time away from somebody and also put a lot of pressure on them, and that can affect all the other aspects of their life. As I said before, the majority of elder caregiving responsibilities will take place during working hours, like banking and financial planning, or bill paying and bookkeeping, scheduling doctor's appointments, preparing pill boxes, tending to emergency medical needs, providing transportation. So much of this happens during the regular workday because it involves a bank, it involves a doctor's office, it involves a pharmacy, and all of the hours are pretty much the same as the hours that your employees are working. So we are sure, and studies show, that working elder caregivers will spend much less time handling these responsibilities if their loved one has the properly prepared advance directives that we just talked about. And that will reduce absenteeism, downtime, and presenteeism. So we don't want people to stop caring for their aging loved ones, but we want them to be able to do it as efficiently as possible. That will allow them to, get their work done and keep their jobs, and of course allow you to protect your bottom line. Some available programs for individuals' aging loved ones are adult daycare, assisted living, home health care, and institutional care. So one of the things that we like to do, is come in and speak to elder caregivers, working elder caregivers, about what these programs are. What's adult daycare? How does it work? Well, you have an aging parent at home and you leave for work for the day and you leave them home alone and you're worried all day, you're checking in with them, a neighbor's checking in with them, you're making phone calls, you have a camera set up, whatever the case may be, you're not concentrating on work. Adult daycare is very similar to child care, and we say that elder care is the new child care. It's a program where you would drop off somebody in the morning, they stay all day, they have their meals, maybe they get assistance with a shower, medication, depending on what their needs are, and then they come home at the end of the day. Assisted living, of course, is means moving out of the home and living in this apartment style type of living, but it does put your mind at ease that a person is being cared for and watched all the time. Home health care would be a home health aide coming into the home, which will allow mom or dad to be taken care of for the day while you're at work and give you somebody to kind of check in with, whether it's a phone call or a text. You don't have to run out of the office. If you call the house and nobody answers, you might have a cell phone that you can call an aide on or things like that. And that home health care can be paid for through the Medicaid program, which is very nice and helpful. And that's something that we try to educate people with as well. And then institutional care, which is nursing home care for a person who cannot be taken care of anymore at home. And we do like to educate about institutional Medicaid and how that works, and asset protection, and how to get all of that into place. Taking advantage of available programs in the community will decrease the number of work adjustments made by working elder caregivers. Currently, 66% of elder caregivers make the following work adjustments, and this is from the National Alliance for Caregiving and AARP, that people who are caring for an aging loved one will arrive late and leave early, take time off, cut back on their hours, change their jobs, or stop working entirely. elder caregiving costs employers $33.6 billion annually in lost productivity. Decreasing work adjustments will significantly impact this number. Now, over the past couple of years, we've gone into many different companies and we've spoken to their employees, many of whom are working elder caregivers, and really educated them on programs that are available and things that they need to have in place. And a lot of the owners of the companies or the HR professionals have reported to us that it has made a big difference in their lives. 84% of elder caregivers state they need more information and help on elder caregiving topics. By providing the right information, you can help the elder caregiver identify the level of care needed and implement the appropriate plan for their loved ones. We want to reduce the need for the numerous check-ins throughout the day, the lack of concentration, the calling in sick to be able to stay home and take care of your loved one, missed deadlines, use of unpaid time off. So we'll talk about, again, adult daycare programs, what they are and how they help. We'll talk about assisted living, which ones are better than others, what type of care they provide, how you can pay for them. We'll talk about home care and how to choose the right agency, how to apply for community Medicaid, and how to coordinate whatever your loved one needs. And then, of course, the nursing home or institutional care, how to choose a nursing home, strategic planning to preserve assets, and how to get Medicaid coverage. So we will, over the course of a couple of months and a number of seminars, be able to educate your working elder caregivers as to all of these different programs. Studies show that a large percentage of elder caregivers do not know what resources are available to help pay for these programs. So a lot of times people will know that the programs exist. They'll know that they can get a home health aide and they'll know that there's daycare, but their first and immediate reaction is it's too much money. My mom doesn't make enough, she can't afford that. But there are so many different programs, the Medicaid program, there's an assisted living program, veterans benefits, some people have long-term care insurance, and these will help to pay for completely, or at least in part, for a lot of these different programs. In addition to educating the working elder caregivers and teaching them how to navigate the elder care landscape, employers should encourage their workforce to plan ahead for themselves and their family members. And that would include, again, those advanced directives, the power of attorney, healthcare proxy, living will, asset protection planning, setting up trusts, or perhaps tax planning. But planning ahead will take the guesswork out of dealing with a crisis at any point in our lives. So while it may be too late to plan ahead for our aging loved ones that we're caring for, it's really important to make sure we're planning ahead for ourselves while we're caring for them. Over 65 million Americans, 29% of all US households, provide care for an adult family member, and these numbers are going to grow going forward. You should arm your workforce with the information they need now to avoid a crisis later. The TAWC Free Employee Benefit Program is available to all SHRM Long Island members. Thank you for joining us today for this overview, and we will see you next time.